Hello friends, how are you doing? I'm coming to you with a new video about something that I was experimenting with yesterday. As you can see, ChatGPT is up on your screen. I know it's been everywhere lately, but this blew my mind and I felt I had to share it with you. So if you've been living under a rock and you don't know what ChatGPT is, it's a very advanced AI that has a chat-like interface. And yesterday I decided to ask it, how do you mix the bass and kick of a techno track? To find out what kind of mixing skills ChatGPT has, let's have a look what it came up with. Here are some general tips for mixing the bass and kick in a techno track. You have to set the levels relative to each other. Okay, that makes sense. Nothing mind-blowing yet. Okay, creating space with EQ and separating the elements frequency-wise. Okay, that's very spot-on advice. Using compression on the bass and kick to control the dynamic range and punch. Okay, good. Here we go, sidechain compression. Okay, like that's very specific to electronic music, generally speaking, or I guess modern music. It knows that. Okay. Panning bass and kick to create a sense of stereo width. Okay, sure, using a stereo bass and a mono kick is a pretty good technique. I don't know about panning the bass and the kick, but stereo is good. Maybe spreading it that way, so your bass wide, kick straight up the mono, up the middle. I basically re-clicked the answer, so I just wanted to see what it came up with if I asked the same question with different answers. So it came up with quite similar outputs, this time more around boosting low-end frequencies to give the kick more power, compression again to glue things together, sidechaining came up again, and using a low-pass filter on the bass to create space for the kick and other elements in the mix. That's pretty spot on. And this is the bit that got me now. You know, starts talking about phase relationships and knowing, you know, using a plugin to check your phase. I mean, that's pretty advanced. Many people, including myself, didn't realize probably how important that is to, at least in my case, way later in my career. Okay, that's mixing kick and bass for techno music. Do you have advice? What did I ask it? Yes, I wanted to go a little bit deeper and find out about what it knows about mastering. How about mastering techno? Or can you tell me about that? I have to think about that a little bit. So yes, it can be challenging, fast tempos, complex rhythms, so yada yada yada. Okay, yeah, this really got me, I have to say. It starts talking about getting your mix down to -6 dB so you have headroom to work, which is super spot on. Otherwise, you'll be clipping your plugins from the get-go, and many of those plugins, remember, are modeled on outboard gear, and they will clip if you go into them too hot. They won't clip audibly, but they will not sound as good as they can. Starts to speak about EQ, high-pass filter to remove rumble, low shelf or bell filters, boost and cut. Yes, getting the low end right is the second step in mastering, I think, after gain staging. Don't over compress, but use compression. Use limiting to get the overall level right, but don't overdo it. It will be distorting and fatiguing to listen to. So it is a proponent of, I think, dynamic music. And then it speaks a little bit about stereo widening. I don't know why I said she's, because I have Alexas, and I think I'm kind of used to AI having a female sounding voice. But in any case, all of that is pretty solid advice for mastering. Maybe the only thing is the stereo widening should obviously happen before the limiting. So digging a little bit deeper here, let's, going further down the rabbit hole, what is the ideal loudness for a techno track? And it doesn't just spit out like, I don't know, -14 lufs. No, it's like, oh no, it's a little bit more, distinguished in its answers. Is this for Spotify? Then you should be aiming at -14 lufs. Which, yes, that's good advice. And then get this, for club playback, you should be aiming to -9 to -7. Yes, very, very true. So there's a difference what you're producing the master for. And then for radio, it talks about -2 to 0 lufs. Like, honestly, I have no idea how to make a track that loud without it being horrible. And radios compress the life out of music anyway. Anytime a track of mine has been on the radio, it was like, wow, how do they get it that loud? I wouldn't want to send my tracks in that loud already. But maybe it knows something I don't know. I asked it then next, what is the world's best synth? So totally impossible question to answer. which honestly, it's very cool that it's like, well, it depends, you know, what are you looking for in a synthesizer? What do you plan to use it for? I love how nuanced these answers are. So certain synthesizers may be better suited, more versatile, yada, yada, yada. Let me suggest to you a few nice synths that you could consider. A Moog Model D, a Roland Jupiter 8. What did it come up with then? Yes, Korg MS-20. Those are like very solid, okay, very, you know, expectable. And then a little dark horse here, the Nordlied. Okay, yes, I have many friends that use it, swear on it, it's a good synth, it's affordable, it sounds great. And now it comes up with Arturia V Collection, which is, yeah, of course, it contains models of all that. Like, how does it jump from hardware outboard stuff all of a sudden to the V Collection? Credit to Arturia for how well positioned their synthesizer collection is, obviously, if this AI jumps to that. I mean, this is like, we're talking to an AI now about music production, and it's giving a specific advice on synthesizers and software versions that you could consider. Like, that to me is mind-blowing. That's just stunning. Like, you know, and this is only like, what is it, the V3, V4 is coming out in a few weeks. That's 500 times as powerful. The model behind it is 500 times as big, if I remember correctly. Okay, you can tell I'm a little bit unnerved at this point. I remember now having this conversation with it, and I was just like, let's keep digging. What's the best headphones to mix on? Okay, many factors, comfort, overall sound quality, fair enough. So yeah, I wasn't too blown away by the headphone suggestions. I mean, yes, the 702s are nice headphones, comfortable, but don't have a lot of bass. The Sennheiser's kind of similar, but they are very well respected for mixing and mastering. I mean, if you have to, but yeah, people do use them. 770s, I use them every day. They're great for tracking. I wouldn't mix on them, but they're great for tracking. And then the Focals, I don't know. So, okay, I don't really know how to judge this answer. Would I have expected something other? I guess not really. So that's fine. I remember at this point I was thinking like, okay, let's look for something that's pretty controversial, that yeah, you know, would be a discussion amongst sort of sound engineers and audio nerds anyway. What better way to start off a controversy than a Yamaha NS10 discussion? So I asked it, what's your take on NS10s? Again, it had to think about that a little bit. Alright, popular choice, accurate, detailed sound, reveal small flaws, very true. I don't think they're very flat. They have a huge peak around 2K, which is what makes them so revealing. They're kind of an invert of a standard hi-fi speaker, so they have a very big mids bump. So, but I guess, you know, they are very revealing, relatively flat. Okay, that's all a little bit wishy-washy language. But yes, many people find them too bright or harsh. And my first experience mixing on NS10s, I was like, why would I want to mix on this? Until I realized, of course, how useful they are. But I don't own them. Like I think there's better systems these days than NS10s. I think, yeah, I wouldn't recommend them right now unless you're doing maybe rock music or I don't know. Anyway, digging a little bit deeper, sort of kind of my topics, like what's a good way to work fast in the studio? How do you know, what's the fastest way to create a techno track? Here we go. Start with a strong foundation with the track, kick drum, bass, and other elements that are the backbone. Okay, then you know where you're at and where you're going to go. Use loops and samples. Yes, I mean, it's not the most ultimately creative way to do it, but if you're going to use a hi-hat sample or some other basic element, then that's a fast way to do it. And this I thought was interesting, use automation, which is in essence what I'm doing with the Rapid Flow template, right? Like moving faders up and down to create the sequence. Obviously it doesn't mean that, but it is very on point for my personal experience. Experiment with different sound and techniques, a key part of the creative process, which can lead to new and exciting ideas. Yes, when you're experimenting and you discover cool stuff, good things happen quickly usually, it's true. And then it goes on to talk about a DAW, which is like, yeah, okay, so people use DAWs or not. I don't know if that really makes a difference for the speed. I guess if you're comparing it to doing it all on outboard with DAWless, that would take a lot more time usually. I remember now, I'm asking it, you know, in poor English, what do you think of the Rapid Flow template? Yeah, and this is where things got a little bit spooky. Let alone that it didn't care that my sentence was formulated poorly. What are you thinking? It knows the bleeding template. I don't know if it did a Google search in that time or some kind of a search, or if it's just parsed every website in existence. I mean, my website's only up since a month and a half. it's describing my template and, you know, the advantages of it, and warning that, you know, you may prefer a different approach and starting from scratch, which, yes, hallelujah, of course, you know, whatever works for you. Man, this blew me away. It's like, how the hell does this thing know my tiny, insignificant little template and website in everything that's out there in the world? Like, how can it possibly know this? So yeah, I guess you can tell that I'm a little bit speechless, blown away from this little discussion that ChatGPT and I had yesterday. Now, the bit that I find really interesting about this, and maybe a bit of background here, is I've worked in IT now for a few years, and I'm actually trained on speech recognition systems and virtual assistants, and I've deployed those into customers' IT systems. This is a very advanced chat user interface and a very strong model of knowledge below it. I mean, I've never seen anything up on this level. It is way beyond anything I've seen that Google or Microsoft or many other companies have, at least that I've seen publicly. The potential for this to create new mixing tools, even just having it open when you're working on a track on a second screen and asking it excuse me, to give you input on how you could improve your mix. Oh, excuse me, I have a bit of a cough. That already in itself would be a very interesting idea. But could you imagine having that thing piped into your DAW and it giving you real-time maybe feedback on demand of how you could improve your kick drum sound? Like, imagine if it's able to not just parse knowledge but even process audio in real time. That's not that difficult to match a track's frequency spectrum to a target frequency. I mean, you know, Isotope and a few other companies are doing this already. So imagine having that with a chat interface, even speaking it to an entity that is supporting you in a creative process. The mind boggles. So ChatGPT as a virtual mix assistant is, I think, very much a reality and something that can give you very interesting feedback if you're ever stuck or lost. I wanted to show you this because I think it points towards a brave new world that we're moving into, with these AI systems becoming increasingly more easy to interact with and powerful. I mean, it even knows how to mix music apparently, or at least it has a basic, actually it's a pretty advanced understanding of it. So yeah, if you're stuck in the studio, reach out to me or ChatGPT and probably we'll come up with an answer. I hope this video has been entertaining and as mind-blowing for you as it has been for me to record this conversation with ChatGPT yesterday. What can I say more than give it a try yourself? Apparently it's grown to 1 million users now, faster than Twitter, Instagram or Facebook. This thing is definitely going to disrupt a bunch of industries and it's going to change our daily world. I have no doubts. This is the step in AI that people in my industry, people working with virtual assistants and other systems like that, have been waiting for, working towards. This is definitely a game changer. I mean, come on, if it knows this kind of details about something as niche as making music and the synths you use and tools like NS10s and what mastering is, and give me a break. Like, I don't even know what it would respond if you started asking about how to mix rock music. I guess that could be interesting, but in any case, give it a try. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. Do you think this is a good or a bad thing? Are you also, like me, a little bit concerned what this could end up doing to creativity if everything gets just waltzed into the perfect theoretical mix that everything then should be? And you know, it poses a lot of interesting questions, but in any case, there's a lot of potential here. So that's it for me today. I hope you have a great time in the studio. See you on the next one. Take it easy. Bye bye.